Hello, everybody. Welcome to class. I've got a juicy but yet soft, yeah, I guess you can call it soft, hip opening, liver loving practice for us. So, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, it's now officially spring, although I have to say here in Ottawa, it does not feel anything like spring-like weather at all. In fact, it feels very much the opposite weather. But nevertheless, in the Northern Hemisphere, it is the spring equinox, which is the season of the liver. And even if you're in the, Southern Hemisphere practicing, the liver is always an organ that we need to nourish and take care of. So this practice is going to be very much centered around the hips, because the liver meridian channel runs through the inside of the legs, and then its paired organ, the gallbladder, resides on the outside of the leg. So it's basically going to be a lot of inner thigh, a lot of outer thigh, but of course that's going to radiate into the back body as well because it's all connected. We're going to start with a little bit of acupressure just to get that meridian channel actually starting to flow, so that when you come into the poses, it's like you've turned the tap on and things are already starting to flow. So by the time you get into a yin pose that stimulates the liver meridian channel, the hips, that process has already begun because we started with the acupressure. I invite you to have a couple of blocks for your class. Now, if your hips are super tight today, please feel free to add on any other props, such as maybe some blankets or towels that you can roll up that you can use, or if you have extra blocks, just for a little extra support, especially for your hips, okay? So we're going to begin with our acupressure exercise. It's a very simple acupressure point that we're going to stimulate. It's one of the best ones to not only get the juices flowing through that channel, but also to calm you down too. It's a very calming point. It's located on the top of your feet. So if you are wearing socks at the moment, you might want to take your socks off just so that you actually have access to the skin on your feet. And you're going to be in a seated position, likely sitting up on the edge of something, just so that your pelvis has a bit of a natural tilt. And you're going to take your feet about hip width, maybe even a little bit wider apart, depending on how tight you are, but you need to be able to get to the tops of your feet, okay? So for some of you, you might even bring your feet in a little bit closer so that it's a little more accessible. And if you need like some propping, you can always put blocks underneath your thighs just to kind of hold your legs up, because we're not in a yin pose here. This is just all about the acupressure. And now to find liver 3, it's a really easy point. If you go to the base of your big toe, where it meets in the middle, in the intersection, trace a line just slightly up as if you were going towards your ankle joint. And you're going to find a little fleshy, sort of hollow space that is just literally, if you keep dragging your fingers up, you're going to hit bone. You don't want to be on the bone, you want to be on the flesh. I usually like to take 2 fingers, so I'll take my index and second finger, and you're going to press in that little hollow. Now, as you press, you're just going to start to make some small circles. If this is tender, okay, if this is tender, that's not an uncommon thing at all. If you just ate a big meal and your liver is very active at the moment, this could feel also tender, okay? So as long as your fingers are in the flesh and not on a bone, you're in the right spot, okay? And you're going to start to take some long, slow, deep breaths as you start to signal your nervous system to shift out of the sympathetic in towards the parasympathetic. And then you're going to start to make the circles in the opposite direction. So we're not here too much longer, be about another 30, 40 seconds. And this is a point that I highly recommend stimulating every day, especially during times where you're really in heightened stress or anxiety. The liver in Chinese medicine does not like stress. And stress is actually the #1 disruptor of our liver function. Okay, so now you're going to stop making the circles, but just keep your fingers there on the point. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And now let your fingers relax. Lift your chest up and just extend your legs out for a moment. Just let your body kind of settle from that. There could be a little bit of like residual pulse sensation that you might feel around the point. It could feel a little bit achy. There could be some warmth there or even a tingling sensation. It's all good. It just means that things are being activated. And then you're going to come up off of your seat or whatever you were sitting on, and we're going to come down onto our back. We're going to move into a lateral butterfly pose. I'm going to recommend that you grab your blocks for this one and place one block on each side of your mat. And then come and meet me down on your back. And as you come onto the back, start by bringing the feet and the knees side by side. And walk your shoulder blades apart so that your upper back feels quite flat on the mat. And now let the soles of the feet come together, open the knees, and slide your blocks underneath your thighs, whichever height you need today. You want a fair distance between your feet and your pelvis. So try to make more of a long, narrow shape as opposed to like a really tucked in, tight shape. And then pick up your upper body and shift it towards the top left side of your mat. So it's almost like a half banana through the upper body. And now your arms can come out wherever they like. So some people might bring their arms up above their head, just providing that your arms are fully grounded. You could take like a goalpost position. You could just take your arms and extend them out, or you could keep this really chill and let your arms be down by your sides. And then you might just shimmy the shoulder blades a little further apart again. And then as you settle in, your eyes close. Keep things really soft. We are just at the beginning of our practice. There is no rush to try to get into a deep, expansive stretch. Allow yourself the space to begin to breathe, slow and deep. And I invite you, depending on how you're feeling today, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or stressed, I invite you to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Same thing applies if you're feeling a little frustrated or a little short-tempered. If things are feeling quite good, quite calm already, then choose to breathe in and out through the nose. Start to tune into the sound of your breath, finding that smooth breath in to breath out. And the liver, in particular, really enjoys a smooth and easy disposition with the breath and with life. And we're here for a few more breaths. I invite you now to take your left hand and rest it on your belly. And as long as you can keep your right arm grounded on the floor, you're going to extend your arm up above your head or in somewhat of a goalpost position so that you can start to lengthen a little more through the side body from the armpit down to the hip. So you're getting a little bit more deep stimulation through that gallbladder meridian channel. And then imagine yourself extending your breath out through your rib cage. Take one more complete round of breath in and out through your nose. And then bring your right arm down towards your right hip. Walk your upper body back towards the center of your mat. Use your hands to draw your knees together. You can keep your blocks there for the moment, but let your knees touch and take your feet wide. So you're coming into like constructed rest here. Let your body settle as you take 2 to 3 full deep breaths. Heel toe your feet and your knees back together. Come back into butterfly again. Now you might find your blocks need to be repositioned maybe to a higher level depending on how you're feeling here. Knowing that we're coming over onto the other side with the upper body. So when you're ready, you're picking up your upper body, taking it up and over to the right this time. Drawing those shoulder blades apart. Allowing the arms to come into some shape that feels at this point effortless. And then start to sink back into that slow, easygoing breath.
Allow your breath to expand, not forcing it, gently beginning to find a longer breath in and a deeper breath out. Sliding the right hand now down onto the belly and allowing the left arm to travel up somewhere where you can find a slightly deeper expression down the left side of your rib cage to your hip. Two more deep breaths. And you'll gently start to bring your upper body back to center. The hands will come back underneath the thighs. This time you can take your blocks out of the way and either take a moment coming back into that constructed rest or extending your legs all the way out, depending on how your hips and knees are feeling. But allow yourself to pause in the stillness in the body, but continue the long, slow, deep breaths. Walking your feet back onto the mat if you lengthened your legs out. And find one block on the lowest setting. Place it under the base of your head. This is just for a little upper body support as we move into a reclined figure 4 position. We'll start by bringing the left ankle on top of the right thigh. So finding that sort of L shape with the left leg, flexing your left foot back towards your shin and your knee. Now you can stay here and allow that left knee to open up either with the help of your hand, maybe on its own, or maybe even using a block. You can also take your second block if you want a little bit more depth, and on the lowest or second level, you can slide it underneath your right foot. So this will elevate the right leg a little bit, but not completely drawn in towards the chest. So this can be a nice little sort of hybrid variation between the first option, and then the full option, which is drawing your right knee in towards your chest and interlacing your hands onto the hamstring. So wherever you choose to start with, let it be somewhere where there is going to be an invitation to create space, not at your maximum range of motion. And then start to breathe deeply again if you lost that connection. We're a little bit more than halfway through. You can choose to stay exactly as you are, or you can choose to go in a little bit deeper depending on how you're feeling. So full variation would be tucking that right knee into your chest, lifting the right foot up, and interlacing your hands onto your hamstring. Or maybe for some of you, it's just sliding that block under your right foot. Or maybe you're staying exactly as you are, because where you're at is exactly where your body needs to be in this moment. And that's okay. It's not a race, and it's certainly not a competition. The nose, take one more deep breath. And then your choice, out through the nose or out through an open mouth, letting it all go. Eventually your legs will unwind, your feet will come back down to the mat. And you can pause once again in constructed rest, knees together, feet wide, or take a moment and extend the legs out. Fully pausing here, but continuing the long, slow, deep breath. The more you can continue to cycle the breath in the same fashion, whether you're in a pose or whether you are not, just signals your liver to be a little bit calmer. It's not like start, stop, start, stop. It's this continuous flow, which is exactly what your liver likes. Flow. It likes movement. Doesn't like anything that is too hereditary or too still. And now give those knees just a little hug into the chest. Let's find a little rock. Let's just massage out the low back a little bit before we head on over to the other side. And then let your feet come back down. And this time we'll take the right foot on top of the left thigh. And you're either grounding your left foot on the floor, or if you're choosing, you can slide that block underneath your foot, lowest or second level. Encourage the tailbone to lengthen as the right knee opens up and the right foot stays flexed. As best as you can, allowing the upper body to really soften in as your breath continues to flow. And we're at that halfway point. You can choose to modify your shape in any way or stay exactly as you are. Can you soften into a slightly deeper breath, especially your exhale? Full breath in. And as you take the breath out, slowly start to unwind the legs. Pausing once again, either in constructive rest or extending the legs out. Allowing your body to soften, to recalibrate. Gently removing that block that's underneath your head. And then from here, you're going to make your way over onto your belly. So you can either kind of just roll yourself over, or if you prefer, you can lift yourself up and then make your way onto your belly. And as you do, I'm going to invite you to have your blocks towards the top of your mat, and then shift your body over towards the left side of your mat. So you've got space on the right, and we're going to come into tipsy sphinx. So you're going to draw your right knee up in line with your right hip. So you're in a half frog position, sort of like an L shape. And your toes can either point towards your knee or they can point back. It just depends on your ankle joint. Now, if you want to keep this super relaxed, you just keep your chest down and maybe your forehead is on a block. If you want to come up into Sphinx, then you're going to tuck your elbows just slightly in front of your shoulder heads. Okay, so it's not a really deep back bend here. You want to actually contain your ribs on the mat, okay? So that you're stimulating that gallbladder meridian channel. And then allow your legs to soften. Now, if you're a little bit more upright, you can use your block underneath your forehead as well, just for a little neck support. And then allow your low back to soften. Start to breathe into that space. Relax your face. Any point you can bring your upper body down and just stay in that sort of half frog position if you like. As you are, take a deep breath in and take a long breath out. And from here, you're going to come up onto your forearms. You're going to slide your left arm underneath your chest, okay? You're going to find the block on the lowest setting, place it underneath your left side of your head, so your head is supported. And then you're going to roll onto your left side, okay? Your right knee, for some of you, is probably going to come and tuck in a little bit closer towards your body. If you're a little more open, you might keep it in that sort of half frog position. Or alternatively, you can take a block on the lowest setting and tuck it underneath your right knee, okay? So you're lying on your left side. Your left arm is now extended out from your left shoulder. Turn your palm to face up. And then take your right hand and bring it up over your head. So it's just going to sort of land on the top of your head. And let your elbow kind of fall onto your head as well. So if you're able to extend your arm all the way out, beautiful. If this really sort of aggravates your shoulder or neck in any way, then just let your arm rest on your top right hip instead, okay? This is just a little bit of extra nourishment for that gallbladder channel. But again, if this is going to in any way irritate your right shoulder, just let your arm rest on your right hip. And then full deep breaths here. We are not here too long, but maximize your breath into your body. Two more deep breaths here. If your right arm is up over your head, start to bring your hand back down so it lands on your hip. If you have a block that's underneath your right knee, release that out. Extend your right leg long and roll back onto your belly. And just stack your hands one on top of the other and bring your forehead or perhaps your right ear down and bring your big toes to touch. And just take some full deep breaths here. One more deep breath in and out through your nose. And then start to lift yourself up a little bit and shift over towards the right side of your mat. So you've got some room over on the left. And we'll start with tipsy sphinx again, this time drawing left knee up in line with the left hip, finding an L-shaped position here with the leg. And it's your choice. If you want to have your upper body in a slightly sphinx position, the chest lifted, but the ribs down, or if this is just not feeling good for your body right now, just take it all the way down to the floor, or even just chest to the floor, but head on a block. And allow that left hip to kind of settle in as your breath starts to deepen. One more breath. And then coming up onto your forearms for just a moment. And this time you'll slide your right arm underneath your chest. Bring your right side of your head onto a block. And start to turn so that you're on your right side, adjusting that left knee if you need to, or putting a block underneath it. Left leg stays extended. Turn your right palm up. And then option to take your left arm, you can either just keep it on top of your left hip or start to extend your arm up and allow it to drape over the head. Providing that this is not creating any kind of tension in your neck or shoulder. And then as you settle in, just find yourself taking a little bit longer to breathe in and a little bit longer to breathe out. Last few deep breaths. One more really deep breath in and out through your nose. Maybe finding that exhale through an open mouth. And then bringing that left arm, if it's up above the head, all the way back down. Very slowly. Extend the left leg out, roll to the belly, and pause here. So again, just let your body rebound. And then gently lift your head. And you're going to turn yourself back around over onto your back. And most of us are probably going to bring a block along with us. And they're going to place the back of your head back on the block again. And then just pause here for a moment, keeping your knees bent. Back is nice and broad. Take about 2 to 3 deep breaths. And now hug your knees to your chest. Bring your big toes to touch and open your knees wide. So it's like you're in an inverted or reclined tadpole position. Your hands can either rest on the top of your shins, the knees, or you can even bring your hands and tuck them underneath your hamstrings if you like. Whatever is easiest for your upper body to relax. Let your tailbone lengthen a little bit longer. And then start to take some full deep breaths here. Now, if this is not enough for you, you can move into happy baby. So hands come to the inside of your feet. You're going to find the outer edges of your feet. Hold on to them, or maybe even your ankles. Start to bring the soles of your feet up towards the sky as your knees start to come down towards either side of your hips. In either variation, you can find maybe a little bit of movement as you rock from side to side. Or you can just keep it still. Full deep belly breaths here. And take one more really full round of breath. And then let your feet come back down. And choosing either to come into final Shavasana, extending the legs out, finding any support. Or if you choose, you can come up into a seated meditation position. Take some time to really set up this shape so that you really feel effortless, weightless, light and inflow. Breath is surrendered. Body rests heavy.
Please take all the time that you need here in this practice. May your transition back into your body be as smooth and as in flow as what your liver desires. And sleep well and have a beautiful rest of this week. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. Namaste.